What's up, India? These phones are for you because they're launching in India this February and they are Realme's flagship devices, at least the 9 Pro Plus. It comes with a cool new feature, which I'll talk about shortly, but you also have the 9 Pro, which is obviously going to be slightly cheaper, but still packs pretty good specs. Now I'm going to start with the 9 Pro Plus just because I find the box easier to open up. And inside, the first thing you have is a little box. Inside of the box, it says, "Hey, welcome to the Realme family." Inside of that little box, you have the typical TPU case that you use to protect your device. It's your standard one. There's no tramp stamp on it, so it's nice and clean. You have your SIM tool, and of course, a bunch of paperwork to go with it. Inside that, you have the phone itself, and then below, you have your Super Dart 60-watt charging brick. So I think the phone supports 33-watt fast charging, but this is a 60-watt charging brick to keep your device topped off. And finally, you have a USB Type-C cable. See, the bonus about devices coming with faster charging is they have to include the brick in the box because it won't work with a normal charging brick. So that's a good thing for those of you out there that don't like the fact that some phone manufacturers are no longer including chargers in the box. Now this one is becoming a pain in the butt to take out. Like, they really glued this box on. Oh my God, I gotta get a crowbar out here. Come on, you can do it. All right, so same thing, paperwork, case inside of here. You have the phone itself, charging brick. This is also a Super Dart 60-watt charging brick, USB Type-C cable. Now these devices are coming out in multiple different colors. On the right is the Pro Plus. It's a lighter device just because it's a smaller phone, smaller display. And then on the left we have the Pro. I dig this black look, and depending on how the light reflects off of it, you can see like a gray line move back and forth. This one is using Realme's new color shift design, and depending on how the light reflects off it, you're supposed to see hues of red make its way through. I think this is really cool. A lot of vendors are starting to do this, and it gives their phone a unique look. But let's be honest here, okay? 99% of you are probably gonna slap these cases on it and never see the beauty of these color changing effects. In terms of camera layout, they're both very similar. They have a main sensor. It's a 50 megapixel main sensor, 1.8 on the Pro Plus, whereas on the Pro, it's a 60 megapixel main sensor. You have a 8 megapixel ultra wide lens on both, and then you have a 2 megapixel depth sensor to help with that separation. Now, obviously, the Pro Plus is easier to hold. It's a smaller device, but I don't feel like the Pro is too big. Like, it's a big phone, but it doesn't feel like it's harder to hold than, let's say, an iPhone 13 Pro Max, but they are a bit slippery, you know, not to the point where you feel like you're gonna drop it, but you probably do wanna put a case on this to protect your device. You have nice, clicky power buttons on the side of the device. You have your little SD card slot slash SIM tray here, which is dual SIM. And then on the other side, you have your power button, which is also nice and clicky. You have your microphone up here. And then on the bottom, you have a headphone jack, which I really don't see that much these days, and your USB Type-C charging port to charge this device up. So I got both devices set up, and there's a few things that I noticed right off the bat. The display quality, even though they're both Full HD Plus, is a little bit different. This is a 90 Hertz panel. This is 120 Hertz. They're both Super AMOLED, but the Pro is noticeably worse if you have it beside the Pro Plus. Right now, they're both at 50% brightness, and the Pro Plus gets a lot brighter. The screen itself just looks better. I find that the Pro is a bit duller and colder when you look at it. So overall, Pro Plus has the better display. The other thing is the fingerprint layout. If you're buying the Pro, you don't get an optical scanner. You're using an embedded physical fingerprint in the side of the power button, and it's really quick. It works great, so no complaints. But if you buy the Pro Plus, they're using an optical scanner, which is right at the bottom of the screen. It logs you in really quickly, but the big feature with this optical scanner is the ability to measure your heart rate. If you go into the Realme Lab under your settings menu, you'll be able to use your finger to measure your heart rate. So you just let it sit here for a few seconds. It's gonna measure it and give you an indication of how many beats per minute your heart rate is going. Now this is kind of nice if you don't have a smartwatch on and you quickly want to measure your heart rate if you're working out, but overall it's not like a big deal, but pretty cool to have on your smartphone. Now, both phones are using Android 12, Realme's UI. everything is fairly smooth. You do have a Dimensity 920 in the Pro Plus, which is kind of equivalent to Snapdragon 855 in terms of performance. And then on the Pro, you have a Snapdragon 695. Both do support 5G right off the bat, just like setting things up. This took longer to set up, the Pro Plus, but once I was in and moving around, I found the overall UI experience to be smoother on the Pro Plus than I did on the Pro. Not that it's bad on the Pro, but there's like a little bit of micro lag here and there that I just didn't get when I was using the Pro Plus. Now, the more I use the 9 Pro, the less it starts to feel like a Pro. For one, the vibration motor is different compared to the Pro Plus. It doesn't feel as good when you're typing on it. And number two, you only get one speaker at the bottom of the device compared to two that you get on the Pro Plus. Here's an example. So battery life should be good. I mean, these are big batteries. On the Pro Plus, it's 4,500 milliamp hours compared to 5,000 on the Pro. You do have a bigger display with a higher refresh rate, so it probably needs the bigger battery, but I don't think the battery life is going to be much different. Unfortunately, there is no wireless charging, but you got super dart charging, so these devices are gonna top up pretty quickly. Now back to the cameras for a second, okay? It's kind of weird that you do have the 16 megapixel camera on the Pro compared to the 50. This is using a newer Sony sensor on the Pro Plus, so I do expect the pictures to look nicer, but the other cameras are going to be identical. Let's start off with the selfie camera on the front. We have that 16 megapixel camera, and I'm expecting these pictures to look exactly alike. As for the rear camera, I'm expecting these to be pretty good cameras. I don't think it's gonna beat out an iPhone 13 Pro Max, but for the price point, you should expect very good photos. Honestly, after using both devices, I don't expect the Pro Plus to be that much more expensive than the Pro. And if that's the case, just go for the Pro Plus. I don't understand why they nuked so much on the Pro. They got rid of the dual speakers. The display does have a higher refresh rate, but the actual quality is not as good as the display they're using on the Pro Plus. The vibration motor is not the same, and the cameras on the Pro Plus, or at least the main sensor and the selfie, look a little bit better. Overall, they're both very solid devices, and I honestly wish we had sub $300 phones like these guys here in North America. A lot of people would buy these straight off the shelf because they're so competitive to what we currently have here right now. If you have any more questions, feel free to drop them below. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Like it if you liked it, and of course, I'll see you guys in the next one.